we realized that Overwatch is a game that transcends any single number. So moving forward, we're dropping the 2 and continuing simply as Overwatch Infinity. Aaron. Sorry, what's that? We're no longer doing Overwatch Infinity. We're scrapping the Infinity thing. I kind of like the Infinity, you know? Kind of felt like it would never end. Well, which name do we land on? Overwatch Plus? Overwatch 3? It's just Overwatch. Wait, seriously? Just Overwatch? Yeah, just Overwatch. Oh man, this update better be good or we're so fucked. 10 years ago, a game came out that would not only change the world, but also change my entire life. Overwatch. A hero shooter where teams of 6 would capture objectives or push payloads on maps across the globe with a colorful cast of original characters. Characters who would become iconic. For years, this hero shooter was the primary focus of my YouTube channel, and I had a blast playing the game and covering all the big updates, and just being super excited for where the game would go next. I loved the characters, the gameplay, and the developers were constantly updating the game. So us Overwatch fans were eating good, and on November 2019, our minds were blown when they announced a sequel for Overwatch with a full-on story mode. Oh man, I could not wait. But until the sequel came out, we still got new content. We got the new hero Echo in April of 2020. And then we never got a new hero for the original game ever again. A lot of fans like myself justified this period of no new content by telling ourselves that it would all be worth the wait when the sequel comes out. Surely they're just working on the sequel. Just be patient, they know what they're doing. This is Blizzard after all. They never miss. A year passes. Then 2 years pass, until finally on June of 2022, they missed. Overwatch 2 dropped, without the PvE story mode. But they said that it would come later. So without the PvE, the only true difference between the original and its sequel is that it was a 5v5 game now, with one less tank, and it was free to play. Oh yeah, and they also made a lot of their designs worse, like what did you do to my boy? While the initial hype for Overwatch 2 was real, the cracks were beginning to form, and the whole damn thing burst when they announced that the PvE had been fully cancelled, making the entire sequel feel like a cheap stunt to trick players into playing the game again and spend money on their new cosmetic system. A cosmetic system that felt more and more like Fortnite, with a battle pass, $20 skins, no loot boxes, and just a bunch of collabs. Many fans, myself included, were rightfully upset with the way Overwatch 2 essentially rug pulled us. And what we were left with was an Overwatch that felt like it lost its identity. The new heroes that were added felt more like easy ways to sell skins and battle passes, because new heroes were locked behind the battle pass, requiring you to either grind to unlock them or pay to instantly unlock the character, in a sort of soft paywall. And these heroes that were introduced no longer added anything substantial to the story, a story that had felt sort of abandoned for a long time. There were some bright spots that built up the lore like Ramatra, but many other heroes came and went, making little to no impact. Or in the worst case, some characters actively ruined the established lore and world building that made Overwatch incredible in the first place. And with direct competition in Marvel Rivals, it was easy to just move on from Overwatch and play that game instead. So after Hazard for Noobs, I took an indefinite hiatus from Overwatch content, and I didn't make a single video on it for over half a year. Goodbye Overwatch 2. I still love you, but you need some time to find yourself again, because this just isn't working. However, the developers weren't going to give up without a fight. Marvel Rivals, thankfully, provided that spark of much needed competition, and it lit a fire under their ass. So for months, the developers locked in. They started to add a ton of changes to the game. Heroes were no longer behind a soft paywall. They were all free to play the moment they dropped. No grinding required. Hero bans were implemented in Ranked, which was something players have been wanting for years. While 5v5 remains the main game mode, 6v6 made its return as a permanent mode, which is still a preferred way to play for a lot of people. A new perk system was added that gave every hero new upgrades unlocked mid-game, which gave Overwatch a little bit of a light MOBA feel, while also providing the heroes a little more depth. And it also feels more punishing for constantly switching, because when you switch, you lose your perks and have to re-earn them, at a faster rate though. Which is a nice addition because before that, it felt like a constant battle of rock, paper, scissors, just always counterpicking over and over again. I will say for some heroes, some of their perks are very clearly better than others, so it ends up feeling like this meme. It's just like, yeah, man, I'm gonna choose the one that isn't feathers. But what finally brought me back was their biggest change yet, Overwatch Stadium. A full-on reimagining of Overwatch 2 with a ton more MOBA elements, where you level up and can create insane builds for your heroes, like a Reaper that can Death Blossom every time he teleports, or Soldier 76 that acts more like a healer, and so much more. I made an entire video all about Stadium, and you can watch it later, but just know that I found Stadium to be very fun, and worth trying out if you haven't. I think you'll be surprised. And at the very least, it lets you play in third person, so that's kind of neat. And with the release of the new characters Wu Yang and Vendetta, we finally got characters that expanded the world, and also built upon existing lore. It was feeling like Overwatch was slowly making a return to form. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, February 4th, 2026. The Overwatch Spotlight came out and it announced so much. We finally got a cinematic that felt like the classic Overwatch ones, because it was starting to progress the story. Vendetta defeated Doomfist and took over Talon. They also announced a ton of changes. 10 new heroes in 2026, with 5 of them coming in the new season. Each season will expand the lore with story updates through cinematics and comics, and these can even affect the maps, like how Watchpoint Gibraltar has broken parts of the map since they were attacked. There's a completely overhauled UI and new cosmetics. But the biggest announcement was that they were finally dropping the 2. Overwatch 2 is no more. The stain of the fake sequel is no longer there. It's now just Overwatch. Now, I know for a lot of people, this is just a glorified update, which it is, but this time, they're not hiding that fact. They're laying out a roadmap for us and being as transparent about it. And at the very least, we are getting a ton of new heroes. And the 5 we've already gotten are awesome. Let's quickly go over them. You got the new tank, Domina, the heiress to the Vishkar Corporation. She's got an insanely strong paneled shield and a pistol that shoots a laser that's like Symmetra's gun, but good. Her ultimate traps enemies in shields that if they don't break, will break them. Oh, that guy's dead. He's so dead.
Yeah, I'm dead.
He's so dead if he's just gonna block and not shoot. Her entire kit feels absolutely insane, and most people agree that she is easily the strongest new hero, so before they inevitably nerf her, you gotta try this pistol out. It's insane. I killed their Mizuki. They're both weak. Oh my god, the flank play. Oh my god. Onron is a new damage hero, and is also Wu Yang's sister. She zooms around and burns enemies with fire, fanning the flames to kill faster. And her ultimate is like Phoenix from Marvel Rivals. Or, if you're dead, you can use your ultimate to revive yourself. Sort of like a Phoenix. Okay, so she's not that similar to Phoenix. They didn't just copy and paste from Marvel Rivals. They did copy and paste Kitako's face on Onron's, when she looked a lot different in the comics and trailers. Anyways, Emre is also a new duelist, who used to be an Overwatch agent, but has gone rogue. He's got a burst rifle, a sidearm pistol that siphons enemy health, and a pair of grenades. Wait a second, burst rifle? Sidearm pistol? 2 grenades? Close enough. Welcome back, Master Chief. His ultimate is like Atticus from Highguard. Ooh. His ultimate is like Ultron's from Marvel Rivals, if Ultron was comic book accurate, because this thing can kill. Mizuki? Wait, no, not you. Mizuki is a new support who's another magical Japanese healer who also has ties to the Shimada clan. Because, say it with me, if they're from Japan, they're tied to the Shimada clan. He throws his hat around like a Captain America shield to heal teammates. Or he can just heal with his aura. That also allows for him to teleport back to where he started aura farming, which is a pretty fun movement mechanic. And his ultimate is basically Lifeline's ultimate. It's fine. And last but certainly not least is Jetpack Cat, a cat with a jetpack. First teased years ago, this cat flies around and shoots paws to heal or kill. Her main ability can carry teammates around, allowing for some silly shenanigans like flying a Diva Bomb into an enemy or using Bastion like an AC-130. I died, but it was worth it. Did you get more? Yes, you got 2! Or flying Cassidy around to high noon from the skies. Is this it?
This might be the clip. Wait a minute. Yeah.
Sure, you can also troll your teammates.
You just shot me in the map. You shot me off the map. Okay, wow. I'm back to my sins.
But it's great to move teammates into a fight or save their life. And the Cat's ultimate allows you to yoink up an enemy, and you can bring them to your team and they'll instantly die, or just throw them off the map. It's incredible. Oh my god, wait! Holy shit! I wasn't expecting this! I was gonna kill the soldier. That's 5 new heroes, with 5 more to come this year. But is it enough to say Overwatch is back? Let's discuss in the... This is Overwatch. If you were already a fan of Overwatch, all the characters that you know and love are still here. And a lot of them do have reworks. And some of the more underutilized, undertuned characters will also be receiving reworks. The core gameplay itself is still great. The gunplay feels smooth, the art style is still fantastic, 2CP is no longer a thing, and there are plenty of different ways to play the game. 5v5, 6v6, tons of arcade modes, and the crazy custom browser. Look at how many heroes there are now. There's actually a reasonable amount of supports for once. You're bound to find at least one hero that you're gonna fall in love with. There's just a ton of new content in this game and a lot to do. And if you've never played this game before, it's completely free to play. You don't have to spend a dime to enjoy every single character in this game. You can choose to join Talon or Overwatch or be a double agent. I think this gives casual fans a lot more to actually progress towards. Almost everything that you loved about Overwatch is here, and they've tried their best to improve the experience overall. But it's not perfect. So let's talk about the... I'm still not a big fan of 5v5. I honestly kind of wish that once they dropped the 2, they also dropped the 5v5 and went back to being all in the 6v6. Because what ends up happening is that these tanks are just so overpowered. They kind of have to be to survive. They're the only tank on your team. I know there's a lot of people that really do enjoy the 5v5, but I do think if they went all in on 6v6, the gameplay, in my opinion, would feel a lot better. I've mentioned it before, but I'm really not a fan of how they're monetizing this game. It's crazy to sound, but I'm glad loot boxes came back because I did not like that the only way to get cosmetics for a long time was just the battle pass and the store. But I'm still not a fan of how expensive some of these cosmetics are. And I think one of the more frustrating things about the new approach to cosmetics is that Overwatch has no choice but to make skins for the characters that are going to make them the most money. So what ends up happening is that characters like Mercy, Kiriko, Juno, Diva, and Genji get a ton of skins and are a part of every single collab. They made an Avatar The Last Airbender collaboration, and they deadass put Suki in this collaboration just so they can give Kiriko another skin. What are we doing here, dude? And that means, unfortunately, characters that are not as popular and won't make them as much money won't get skins. I feel for you, Zarya mains. When Overwatch was not free to play, there was a more even distribution for how skins were given out to characters. And unfortunately, I don't see this changing anytime soon. And I do find the designs of some of these new heroes very hit or miss, with a lot of things that just bother me about the design. And this is not just the 5 new heroes. This applies to every hero since Kiriko. I feel like they were so close to making Emre a lot cooler, like he could have been more like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe and had this robotic mask on, but instead they gave him this anime face with an ugly Abraham Lincoln beard. It just doesn't feel cohesive and looks kind of bad. And while I like the design of a character like Mizuki, why does he have no accent? Genji and Hanzo have a very clear Japanese accent, and this guy talks like he grew up next door to me. According to the lore, this guy grew up as a captive of the Shimada clan, but that's not what he sounds like.
Not sure Hanzo likes me much.
Don't take it personal. He thinks everyone's suspicious.
Oh, but I'm such a stand-up guy. You trust me, right?
And then you have a character like Jetpack Cat. While I do think she's funny, they ultimately feel like a gimmick. When Wrecking Ball came out, I felt like the way they explained Hammond actually made him make sense in this world. But Jetpack Cat doesn't really have a logical explanation in world to explain how they work. But I don't love the direction a lot of these character designs are going in. They're starting to feel a little bit more generic, or in Jetpack Cat's case, a little dumb. Also, I really don't like the UI update. There was really nothing wrong with the previous UI. This is honestly a downgrade. And while I do enjoy the fact that they're updating the lore, it can feel a little inconsistent or at times lazy. Like, it's cool that Vendetta was able to beat Doomfist, but how? Doomfist was able to 1v3 Genji, Tracer, and Winston on the streets while getting shot at by cops, but he couldn't handle the 1v1 with Vendetta? I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but like, the power scaling is a little off balance here, right? Overwatch has been with us for a whole decade. After the lies, the greedy choices, and betrayals, I can understand not wanting to give this game another chance. But if you remember the good times, the hype gameplay moments, or the incredible story that hooked you in the first place, then I think you'll find some of that again in Overwatch. It's not perfect, but the game you know and love is returning to its roots. and evolving in a way that feels a lot more natural rather than forced. If you were like me, just over this game, now is the best time to give it another shot. It just might surprise you. So I'll be giving Overwatch an 8.5 out of 10. But what do you think? Have you played Overwatch? Do you think Overwatch is back? If so, or if not, let me know in the comments down below why. Also, which of the 5 heroes do you like the most? I could make a For Noobs video on all of them, but I think I'd rather do a poll and figure out which is the most popular and go from there. I'll catch you later. Ya noob.